Hello guys, welcome back to our virtual classroom. Let's learn English with Teacher Vin.
For today's video we are going to deal with author's biases. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to A. Recognize the author's biases. B. Examine biases, for or against, made by the author. We all have different opinions. We may not notice that we are carried away by the ideas of what we have read, watched, and heard. Our opinion, on the other hand, also affects one's thoughts, feelings, and actions, or vice versa. In other words, we inevitably become biased and choose what we want to believe and apply. As a jumpstart, let us define author's bias. Bias is when a writer or speaker uses a selection of facts, choice of words, and the quality and tone of description to convey a particular feeling or attitude. Its purpose is to convey a certain attitude or point of view toward the subject. Furthermore, a bias is basically when an author is unfair or inaccurate in his or her presentation of something. In their attempt to persuade, authors often make mistakes in their thinking patterns and writing choices. This is because every author has a point of view. Additionally, bias is any opinion that influences a person's thoughts, feelings, or actions. An author/speaker can be biased against something, lean negatively against it, or have a bias for/towards something, lean favorably or positively toward it. Let us try to look closer on this example. Men have sacrificed and crippled themselves physically and emotionally to feed, house, and protect women and children. None of their pain or achievement is registered in feminist rhetoric, which portrays men as oppressive and callous exploiters. The author/speaker has a bias for/towards gender equality. On the other hand, the author/speaker biased against the thinking which describes men as oppressive and reckless exploiters. Now, how can we determine or spot the biases of the author? The first one is by the author's use of evidence. It answers the questions: does the author present more positive evidence for one side of an issue than the other? Or perhaps does the author present more negative evidence for one side of an issue than the other? Meanwhile, the second way is through the author's use of diction. Does the author use words with more negative connotations when referring to a part of an issue or specific people? Does the author use words with more positive connotation when referring to a part of an issue or specific people? These are just some examples of the questions you may ask. Let us try to examine this video. Categorize the following whether the speaker/author is biased for or against someone/something.
How are you?
I'm good, Steve. I can't believe it's top 5 already.
Well, it's here. Here's your question. Canada recently joined Uruguay as the second nation in the world to make marijuana legal. What is your opinion on the legalization of marijuana?
I'm for it being used in a medical use, but not so for recreational use. Because I think if people were to argue, what about alcohol and cigarettes? Well, everything is good, but in moderation. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippines.
Catriona Gray, Miss Universe 2018, is unbiased for or favor for the use of marijuana for medical purposes, and everything must be with proper moderation. On the other hand, she is biased against or not in favor of the use of marijuana for leisure purposes, likewise questioning the use of cigarettes and alcohol. Let us try to work on these statements. You have to point out the ideas that favor the author and those that don't. You may use the comments section for your responses. Before we end this video, allow me to share our hashtag Vensight of the day. The ability to discern bias will strengthen our understanding of the relevance and importance of having stance on various issues in our society. Let your voice be for honesty and justice. Like, share, subscribe. See you again in our virtual classroom. Kansa Hamnida.